What up? What up? You tapped in with Justin Love and my dog's back again. Jimmy Bell, Doug Worthington. It's Buck Top, baby. What's happening, y'all?
Bam, bam.
Was crackling.
Jimmy, you got a voice now, or are we
He's
still
back.
like, are you still contagious?
I'm just on a I'm on a I'm on, I have levels. I'm like Shrek. You know what I'm saying? I
Mm.
have layers.
I didn't say
Not
what you
like
look
Shrek.
like, bro. I didn't say what you look like, but
Right.
hey, look, green don't
You know
look
what
good
I'm
on
saying?
everybody. Hey,
Hey,
look,
I'll take them
last
Shrek checks too.
Look, man, speaking of monsters, the monster came into the shoe this past
Mm.
weekend, as everybody said. How much of a monster were they or not? 14-7, as Doug Worthington calls them, the good guys prevailed. Jimmy Bell, your thoughts, man. Let's dig into it.
It was dope. It was a. I think it was everything that should have been properly hyped to played out on the field. I
Hmm.
think the hype of Texas coming in was overhyped with Mr. Manning. They had already anointed him the savior. They anointed him the Heisman
Right.
Trophy winner. They anointed him the winner of the national championship. They
Yep.
anointed
Pretty
him
much.
the first round draft pick of next year's draft, the whole 9 yards. And the dope part is that you on when the coin flipped and the first kickoff went, you literally had two brand new teams with two new
Hmm.
things to offer. So it was two juggernauts historically
Hmm.
going mano a mano for the day. And you saw two teams, I think, give everything that they had to that day. And we prevailed. I
Hmm.
thought it was a dope game.
Word.
Dougie Doug.
Word. I agree, man. Jimmy hit it on the head, right? We had two blue blood programs, number one and two, respectively, when it come down to even value of the net worth of the brand of them particular programs. So to see them on that stage, gotta obviously put our hats off to somebody who meant so much to college football. The way that Lee Corso went out.
Yeah, that
I
was dope.
think you look back 3 months when a couple months ago when the schedule came out, and everybody was just so upset that this game was at noon. Right when I
Hmm.
played Texas back in 2005, it was a night game. Me and Jimmy talked about it. They bring the lights in. It's the nostalgia. But again, we're doing big noon. Obviously, we know Fox pays the bills and they put it on the show.
Right.
But just to see how the college football was just, that was week one. They had a week zero with a couple games the week before, but nothing opened up that stage with Lee Corso wearing a tuxedo.
Hmm.
Ending the whole tradition with the mascot head. From the starting with the Brutus to ending with the Brutus, him
Yeah.
picking like six other victories, one being that Florida State win against Alabama. This was great for college football. Texas coming off the redemption of having to go home from the college football playoffs, you would have thunk that they would have played with more juice. When it comes down
Mm.
to Manning, when you hear of a Manning, you got two uncles who have and a great uncle or grandfather don't who is an NFL legend, who are all in that pedigree. You also
Hmm.
have Manning, who was a seventh grade recruit for Texas. So that have
Crazy.
his first, showing at the shoe, it geared up for him to have a phenomenal showing, and it didn't happen. So as the media, bigged him up. I think everybody outside of Columbus had him winning everything, as Jimmy mentioned, and then he had to take a good slice of humble pie, and really,
Hmm.
that it was too big for him, that stage. Then on the other counterpart, Julian saying, I think Brian Hartline gave him just enough. He almost gave him like the black key to a Hellcat. Like he didn't give him
Mm.
the key to unlock the 700 horsepower, but he allowed him to get behind a very, very powerful wheel. It was a phenomenal game, and the stats don't even show it. You had three uncharacteristic drops from some talented guys who need to help
Yeah.
their quarterback. You got a change of gloves, just seeing that energy. But and listen, college football is back. I love to see what the Buckeyes put on film. My hats off to the new coordinators. who had a lot more questions, but we got a couple of those answered. So to go into Grambling State, coming off of that crazy historic run in the playoffs after Michigan, just think about what Ohio State was able to endure, how they put the college football on their back. The showings, I don't even know if we know the ratings, but it had to be one of the craziest ratings for a noon game. And I don't think you're going to get any other numbers like that. When you look at the end of the season and you look at the big games, you're going to see Ohio State with millions and millions of viewers, and everybody else is going to have about 60 to 70% of that. We are the brand of college football, and it was good to be on the showing. And again, this is going to be a phenomenal year for these guys.
And can we say no turnovers?
No
No
sacks, no
No sack.
turnovers, no
Right.
sacks. Wow.
They didn't cough up the ball at all,
No
man. That was
sacks is
crazy.
no sacks is more impressive. No turnovers, bro. They didn't give Mr. Sane the opportunity to really throw the ball.
Man,
Right.
hey.
There weren't going to
That's
be
fair.
any. I give the big ups to the running backs for holding on to the ball. If we're talking about
Mm.
totality of turnover, but to be super honest, that was a great stat though, Justin. It was great. You're right. 0 turnovers. Either way you put it is still dope.
It is.
Yeah.
But you still look at the, that they and Dougie said it. Uh, they all made a choice, and Coach Day said that going in, they made a choice that they were not going to put too much on Mr.
Mm-hmm.
Sane at all. He
Mm-hmm.
said, hindsight 2020, could he have handled more? Probably. He
Probably.
said, but we weren't going to take the chance.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great coaching, man. Hey, we talking this weekend, Grambling State coming into the
Ha
shoe. Shout out to
Man.
Grambling State. Let's get into that 3-point stance. JB, your point.
With Grambling, or we're going to do the 3-point stands with the.
We're Grambling.
Oh, I thought we were doing it the opposite. That's why we talked about it before.
Oh, got
We
you,
didn't
got you,
talk
got
about
you.
we didn't talk about Grambling. Well, okay, so my point with the Grambling Tigers historically HBCU with the what's the historic most winning coach in college football? What's his name? He's a former Grambling coach. I
I
should
guess.
have.
Yeah. I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah, forgive us for not knowing the legend's
I
name, but
played in his first
yeah.
classic. Was my first start against
What?
Wyoming. That
Wow.
classic was in Buckeye Stadium. Um, oh, he's a historical dude, but
We're
nonetheless,
gonna get it. We're gonna shout him out before the show is out.
my point of the 3-point stance is how dope would it be if the Grambling band did some type of physical mashup on the field with the best damn band of the land?
Man, that's
How
huge.
dope would that be? I
Man,
would love to
Jimmy,
see
that's
that.
huge.
But somebody corrected me. They gave me some really dope points. Scott Turner from Hawaii, former punter, he said, Jim, I'm not in for that. I said, why, bro? That's so dope. He said, because you know why? He said, one, I want to see Grambling on their own. He said, two, he said, our marching band probably wants to see Grambling on all play.
Well said.
March also on their own. I said, okay, bro. I said it's still a good point to think about. So that's the only thing that I'm anticipating when it comes to that. So that's my first point. Is going to be the halftime show of the Grambling Tigers, buddy.
Man, and just to put it in perspective, I think I mentioned it earlier. Like the run that Ohio State just had, even coming from Michigan, they deserve to have a Grambling State come in here, right? We have to
Right.
appreciate that these young guys are still 18, 19, 20 years old. Jimmy said it earlier. There's no preseason. They've been hitting each other, and now they had to hit those big white helmets and white jerseys from Texas. I am excited to again go out there and just see this car, see this team at maybe some full force. Now, obviously, the plays are not going
Mm.
to be too ridiculous. They're not going to kind of show too many of their arsenal. But I want to see this offensive line get some confidence. I want to see Julian Sand make some throws and get some chance to really just let it air out. You practice again against the best when it comes down to BIA. They're the best in America. You're practicing against those guys every day. You just had to go against Texas, which has a plethora of great talent on that football field.
Hmm.
Let's go see what Grambling State looks like. Let's see them really go out there, sink their teeth in a lesser opponent. And again, like Jimmy said, I think the best competition will be against those bands. But I personally, Jimmy, I would love to see those guys spend 10, 15 minutes towards the end. Give it a little bit more time. Hey, let them stay in the locker room a little bit more. Give those bands an opportunity to really see themselves, showcase their talent, and a collaboration, like you mentioned, would be one for the ages.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. We
Eddie
we had
Robinson.
Eddie
Eddie
Robinson.
Robinson.
Yep. He had 408 wins over 55 seasons before retiring in 97.
55 seasons. God
That
bless the
is
king.
crazy.
Wow.
Good
Man, I don't know
Lord.
if I like football that much.
Hey, well, we in this 3-point stance, Dougie Doug. You had talked about the newness of the coaches and
Yes.
their competency. Can you speak to that?
Yes, I mean, you just got to appreciate, off the game that we just came from in
Hmm.
Texas, knowing how they had to be very, very mindful. And I'm talking about the Brian Hartline, the Ryan Day, the quarterback's coach, all those guys that had to make sure that they gave this guy an opportunity to go out and get his feet wet against a new opponent. When you're a 19-year-old kid that came from Alabama, that thought he was going to play for Nick Saban and get your world turned upside down, and now has to go on a run like they had last year and see Will Howard just tear it up and gain the confidence of the Columbus, Ohio, and the Buckeyes and his teammates. Now you get the keys. Now you know who
Mm,
are the best player in the world is when it comes down to number 4, who you're the one who is expecting to get him the touches and get him on that Heisman stage come that New York time. So it's a
hmm.
lot for a young man. You also have to appreciate when it comes down to quarterbacks, they don't even know your name. Your name is Justin who? Justin. You're not a Manning. So now
Right.
he gets to kind of like be able to really take everything aback. I think the stat is crazy. Quarterbacks who are 0 and 17 uh, making their first start against a number 1 opponent. And he was able to crack that. So to appreciate
Mm,
what Brian Hartline gave him, I like to mention that good old Hellcat, that crazy car that has the red key that unlocks another 250 horsepower. He didn't have to give him that. The running game
hmm.
proved to be efficient enough to move the chains, to hold the clock. Ohio State, obviously, you said they won the turnover battle, but they also won the time of possession. That means that
Mm.
says a lot about
Yeah.
your coordination. You got the guys off the field in some crucial times, and you got some first downs. The guy Urban Meyer said the best thing for him will be getting him some first downs, making
Hmm.
sure that he moves the chains, get him in a rhythm, get the West Virginia transfer to be able to to
Donaldson.
stick it up in there. Yeah, CJ
Hmm.
Donaldson, get him up there and get him some touches. He did pretty decent. Not what we're used to, right? We don't have that 1-2 combination with our guy Henderson and a Judkins. But it was formidable, right? You also going against a
Mm,
good team, so they might get 200 yards on the ground rushing. It's going to look like a totally different game. The coaches are not going to have to do as much, but my hat's off to what they did. And the man of the hour, you have to give it to him. Matt Patricia, what he was able to do
hmm.
against Steve Sarkisian, the way that he was able to kind of listen, I see the body language from my guy Jimmy, and I know you know. When it comes down to even that defense, we don't know who we have. We have to make sure that we get them in a position where they can play fast. You can dial up a bunch of blitzes. You can make it look real cool and stuff. And maybe we do that a little bit against Grambling to see what we're able to do. But hey, let your players be where they're at and make the plays. I love what he did with the bet. That's maybe the second best player in the country when it comes down to Caleb Downs, putting him all over the field. Sonny Styles had a really solid game, and he allowed those guys to rush. It was just so much that he did to make Steve Sarkisian have to keep guessing, and Manning wasn't comfortable. I mean, it was only
Hmm.
one sack. It was a couple of them tackles that was only 1 yard because he's a big quarterback and he falls forward. But it could have been a couple other sacks that we could have had as a defense. But we
Hmm.
made it uncomfortable for him, and that's why we got that win. When it comes down to Grambling and the coaching, hey, they have a week to have fun. Those coaches are stressed too. They probably
Hmm.
was in that building at 6 a.m., didn't leave to probably 11, 12, and getting 3 to 4 hours of sleep and not seeing their family. This is a week, not necessarily a bye week, but a try week where they can try whatever they want. They can get as detailed as they want, and they can
Mm.
get prepared for the Big Ten season.
Wow. Never thought of it that
That was
way. Then.
long. That was long. Real
Yeah.
quick.
I'll be long.
Consider this. I know you're gonna break it up. Consider this. You know why we won that game? Because we were better than Texas.
Well said.
Mm-hmm.
Period. I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you, I get it. And I've been a little irritated at Matt Patricia getting all of this pub. No, I'll give Matt Patricia this. He didn't make it too complicated.
That's huge.
He, he
Mm-hmm.
may have made it complicated for the other team, but he didn't make it complicated for the fellas, which means it it's still to be seen. Is Matt Patricia going to be able to stay in the pocket and not be Belichickish
Mm-hmm.
and understand what type of incredible ball players we have and put them in a position to be better, right? If you think about it, if Texas was better, bro, that'd have been a totally different game.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You can say Brian Hardline did whatever, bro. And again, I'm a Buckeye too, but I like to be honest about things. I, I, I didn't get. I got nothing from that game from the coach. At the minimum, I know that Patricia has the ability to humble himself and not make it complicated.
Mm-hmm.
If we'd have been playing a different team with better talent, I don't know what Brian Hartline would have done. I don't know what type of trouble we would have been in with his play calling. His play calling was extraordinarily simplistic.
Right.
You see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And it did denote that we grind it out and run the ball, and I'm fine with that. Now, as long as we do it, and that's our game plan, that's cool. But if we didn't have no master plan from either side of the ball, and really what I'm really trying to say is I don't want to take anything away from them players because it's so much their team. It's been about them since last year, and it has to continue to be about them and not let them coaches get in the way of them
Mm-hmm.
being incredible for the drive that they can have. Listen, bro, if they would have had better players, Texas didn't. They had good players in specific areas, but they didn't have any playmakers.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't match up with Ohio State. Ohio State was, and that's the beautiful of the newness. Oh, Ohio State's better. We're just a better team. We got better players. We
Mm-hmm.
got better dogs. Our
Mm-hmm.
guys that played last year, our guys that didn't play last year to play this year, just better than their guys who didn't play last year and got to play this year. You see what I'm saying?
What we
Yeah,
So
talked about.
I would say a couple of things that I did see though. I seen a couple different Belichick ish personnels when 97 went out with an injury. The way that he took Hicks back in there, number 11, what they call their cheap Michael Parson. He knew his personnel, and even like it was this blitz that he did where the guy went back to Arvell Reese, and it's kind of weird when they changed their number. He went from 20, now he's number 8. This the way that he looked like he dropped out, took about a second and a half, went back into the blitz and got the only sack that we had. I am with you. Though it's a talented bunch, but Jimmy, as you know, it's a lot of times people get these talented teams and they try to get a head coaching job out of it. They try to show on this particular
Mm-hmm.
stage that this is the talent that I have, and let me go ahead and do all this exotic stuff and get them all twisting and turning, and not allowing them to just go ahead and just play straight down to nose football. So what you said was absolutely true, but the way that I'm thinking about this coaching is it's the grand scheme of things. We got 2 weeks until we get into our Big Ten schedule. We got a Grambling State where we don't got to show anything. We got an Ohio, which is a decent MAC school, but it's still going to be a challenge, right? With that being said, we have a couple different. Let's gear up. Let's figure out what our personnel is. Maybe we put some ways where we can see what this talent can do and see if they can bend, see if they can drop in coverage. So when we get into the thick of things, when the Big Ten schedule, when the live bullets and the real important bullets happen, we can be consistent. We know this is a marathon. Nobody has won a championship in September, but we have the eyes
Right.
because it's good for recruiting. We have the pulse of college football coming off a national championship, and that matters for a nucleus of a team. It matters when it comes down to the ranking, when we come down to the seeding. And again, for Buckeye fans in Columbus, Ohio, we have a rich experience. There's no Saban in Alabama, so the title for the best coach and Ryan Day is getting that type of notoriety. I like it. I like it, and it's bold. And I can't wait to see what these next 2 weeks going into Big Ten season look like.
Doug, you talked about the personnel. Jim, you talked about the playmakers. That was my stance on this 3-point stance going from Texas to Grambling State was the running back game. From my perspective, being a fan, not someone who's played, it was a very noticeable drop off in production numbers, from a Judkins and a Travion, to what we have here with Donaldson and Peoples. I mean, I know you guys mentioned that they pass protected well, and that's a good point. That's honestly something I didn't think about, but it was the noticeable. I mean, Donaldson, I think, has really a lot of potential. I mean, he showed it
Mm-hmm.
obviously in West Virginia. To me, Peoples kind of reminded me of, oh, okay, I'll go ahead and say it. Reminded me of a Lydell Ross,
Mm-hmm.
a guy who had a lot of hype, but really didn't really seem to do much. That again, I know this is just the first game. But I don't know. That's just my perspective. I mean, from a player's perspective, where am I right? Where am I wrong? Going into Grambling State, do you think we'll see more play calling that will give them a chance to show out and really, show those numbers, or are we going to see more of the same?
Texas
Go ahead.
Longhorns. That's probably the best defense, maybe the second best defense that Ohio State is going to go against this year. Penn State, they might say, is a little bit up when it comes down to their defensive line and who they brought back. But those guys, again, CJ, what he was able to do across the board, a lot of that stuff does not show up in the stats. But when we can say that nobody got home to the quarterback and had a sack, you got to tip your head off to the tight ends and obviously the running backs. To have 3 point something yards per carry, phenomenal. To have the
Mm.
only touchdown in the red zone, phenomenal.
Okay.
Again, those guys are on scholarship too, and when it comes down to stars for stars, they actually have more than we do. So the biggest thing about this game, we're going to really see who Ohio State is when it comes down to opening up against these lesser opponents. A lot of times, the J.K. Dobbins and the Travion Hendersons, they had that
Mm-hmm.
freshman splash against Indiana. They had that great,
Mm-hmm.
remarkable start against a Northern Illinois or a Ohio. Well, we're about to play those guys, so I think the verdict is still out.
Mm-hmm.
Peoples, I've seen
Okay.
him in practice. He has something to himself, but I think they all wanted to get the big play. They were all trying to hit the home runs, and Texas.
Okay.
They were covering. They're a great ball club. They looked well on tape. Their defense came to play. Again, it's a 14-7 score. Obviously, we know
Right.
a couple little plays here and there, or wish we could have that back. But Texas left a lot more on the field. So I am just happy with the results. I really know that these next 2 weeks, we're going to be having different conversations about who these talented athletes are. We're going to be talking about Jeremiah Smith again in the Heisman run. Him not having a touchdown. Is he going to be shut out? No, right? He did five
Mm-hmm.
times as better than he did against them in the Cotton Bowl.
That's
They're a
true.
good football team too. So it's going to be fun to see and fun to watch.
Well, I'll say this. They obviously came in there deliberately looking to run the ball, period, point blank. I mean, they ran it 30 something attempts, which in this day of college football, unless you're Army or Navy, is almost unheard of, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't, if your number one guy gets 19 touches, shoot, if your running back gets 19 touches, then that's a good thing. They did average, like you said, CJ averaged 3.5 yards, and People's averaged 2. I think there was, you never know what's going on in the locker room, but it is something to say that Mr. Donaldson started the game. I thought that was interesting,
Mm.
right? He started the game and he noticeably got more carries. I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was interesting because I thought it was Mr. People's job to lose, so to
Okay.
speak. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sometimes I look at those things. I'm not saying it means anything. I'm just saying it was very noticeable that Mr. Donaldson was the number one back, and we all thought it was going to be Mr. Peoples.
Okay.
Right? But like Doug said, we have to consider the strong point of Texas was their front seven.
Mm-hmm.
And I did one of the things that they did incredibly well, and I love a linebacker that knows his gap and isn't afraid to fill it. You see what I'm saying? If you really think about linebacker play is actually played on the other side of the line of scrimmage, to be totally honest with you. You know your gap, and you're trying to get to your gap to the running back as soon as possible. It just so
Mm-hmm.
happens because of movements and things are going so fast that the running back normally gets to the line of scrimmage before the linebacker makes a choice and decision on what he wants to do, right? When you go watch that game, their linebackers were up in them holes, bro. It almost was like they were like, man, don't even pay attention to the pass. So they
Mm-hmm.
were up in them holes. I'm not making any excuses. But again, like when I look at this thing, honestly, you're totally right, Justin. That's something we got to consider.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't compare. I don't think it's honest to compare because the teams we played throughout the year last year and when we played them is totally different. So what
Mm-hmm.
we saw an explosion from them two fellas the first couple games before we got to Oregon is going to be different. If we went and side by side the stats of the Oregon game and the Texas game, I bet you it's not going to be too much different.
Mm.
You see what
Okay.
I'm saying? It's not
Yeah.
going to be too much different. It's just that we had an opportunity to see the explosion couple games before, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
so even with that, Doug is going to be correct. I think in the Grambling game and in the Ohio game, we're going to see a whole lot more explosion from those running backs. But for me, that doesn't mean anything, bro. We're not.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest. You're going to have a couple players that are going to make some money from Ohio. You're going to have a couple guys that's going to make some money from Grambling. But when it
Mm-hmm.
comes down to it, we should literally dominate, and I mean dominate both of these teams that we play next week and the week after.
Well, let's get into it. JB, let's stick with you. Game score prediction versus Grambling. What you got?
I think Grambling's halftime shows. I mean, my bad. I'm sorry. That's not what I meant to say. It's going to be 62,
60.
I see what you did
Basketball
62,
there.
numbers.
That was funny.
62 to nothing Ohio State.
Ooh,
Oh, wow.
And to be
man.
honest with you,
The
I
band's on
think
the
Coach
field? The
Day,
band's on the field? No, we're not doing that. Okay.
listen, Coach Day is going to be respectful. So I think that's going to be respectful. I think that's just going to show that we just are just going to show just the talent we have. We're just going to keep scoring the
Mm-hmm.
damn ball.
I like
You
Mm-hmm.
it.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I don't think Coach Day's going to run it up, but I don't think there's going to be a choice.
feel it. Dougie Doug.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little bit opposite. I think just the way the college football is with these timeouts, with these commercial breaks, with less possessions. And again,
Mm.
I haven't seen everything from saying. I don't know how much we open up. I think we do run the ball again. I think we dominate. I think we also don't understand that Grambling State, they scored 55 points on their opponents last week. So they put up some real good numbers. They can score. They have a real good quarterback who's mobile. You know how we do with mobile quarterbacks. It can
Mm-hmm.
cause a little bit of a stress. They have at least
History has
one running
told.
back. I've seen some good highlights that look like he can get busy. He's very shifty. So I'm going to actually say Grambling State is going to score 17. I feel like they score in the first half. I feel like it's a little bit closer game. I feel like we wear them down in the second half. I feel like we have a couple questions and we kind of mention like, hey, what is going on here? Ohio State is poo-pooing the bed. I think we have like a halftime where it's like 21 or 24-7. We might play a little sloppy, but we get it going the next half, and we end up winning to the effects around like 44-17. I think the game is not the prettiest games.
Mm.
I think the halftime show proves to be the best that we see. But I think the game is competitive on a Grambling State. I feel like they leave with a moral victory and making a couple $1 million. But again, I feel like it's going to be a
Mm.
run. I feel like people is going to have a breakout. I think he'll be the star of the show. We'll talk about him different. I
Okay.
think Jeremiah Smith scores. And again, we all laugh and we get ready for Ohio, looking into Washington the week after.
Love
Hey,
it.
real quick, listen to these stats before you go, Chastain. These are all running backs. 6 carries
Okay.
for 56, 10 carries for 51, 9 carries for 42, seven
Ooh,
carries for 46, five
wow,
carries for 21 yards. Those are all of Grambling
Mm.
State's running backs last week.
wow.
Jeez.
Their
That's good,
quarterback
Diddy.
went for 20 for 25 for 203. So my point is, you're totally right. I got to go watch this tape because
Right.
Langston, I don't know if that's the actual um, Central State's chemistry lab building name. So I don't know if they have a very specific team at the Central State's chemistry football team that they call Langston, because that's what it sounds like, bro.
Mm,
Jesus.
Wow.
yeah.
I'm kind of with y'all. I think that it's going to be time for the Buckeyes to show out. I think that as well, Ryan Day is going to be respectful. I think we're going to have 6 touchdowns and a field goal. So I got a Buckeyes 45. I got Grambling State 10. I think that the 10 is going to come from 1 touchdown and 1 field goal. I like this. I like the zipper better, but I think that once the second and third string guys get in, I think that's gonna give Grambling State a way to get into the end zone. I don't think that touchdown will come until later. I know that I initially went 45-6, just 2 field goals, but I think Grambling State they're gonna take some shots, but also we know that Buckeye defense, if they even get down in the red zone, is gonna be crazy. I mean, 2 goal line stops last week, and it's so I got Buckeyes 45-10.
There you go.
Dougie Doug, what's the word? I'm surprised that you said that they're going to have so many points in the first half. You think
Again,
Grambling's going to score? Go ahead.
again, I think this is still a young defense. I think the defensive line,
Mm,
they were formidable. They did well. Houston, as we talked about, the stops, the way that they played in the backfield. But you know how we play. Sometimes they play up to their competition. Now they can easily have that marker, like you mentioned, 60 basketball numbers, 68 points. Defense scored 3 times, one on special teams. Julian saying have a Heisman day, and we all laugh and marry down High Street. But as history has prevailed, these particular games coming off of a Texas, I can't see them just coming out guns a blazing, trying to show too much of the package when it comes down to the playbook. I think they're going to be a little bit vanilla. I think they're going to have Grambling best shot. Everybody who plays Ohio State gives us their best shot. This is going to be their Super Bowl. So I'm gonna give them a little bit of love in here. I don't think it's just going to be a battle of the bands. I think they're going to keep it a little bit interesting. I think they're going to be able to have they're going to have a little bit of desire to show like, hey, I mean, we are HBCU and this is what we're about. So I think with that
hmm
pride, we're going to have a little bit of entertainment and joy. So I'm going to give them a little bit. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for it.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
well let's get into these love notes. Dougie Doug, give us your love note for this week, man.
Oh man, for this week, I'll be remiss to not appreciate, the attitude of gratitude determines your latitude. I
Mm,
think we have to be very mindful to be happy for what we have. There's so much going on,
yeah.
but it's a lot of things that we should be very privileged to be a part of, and that's college football, right? That helps us all out. We get to
hmm
have something we look forward to looking at, and the Buckeyes.
hmm
But also being happy to have a roof over your head and clothes on your back, and an opportunity to do work. We just had Labor Day. So there's a lot to be grateful for. So I like to always mention my attitude of gratitude determines my latitude. How happy I am about being grateful allows me to be as high and right to the North Pole. And if I'm south and I'm thinking of the negative things, then I'm gonna get more of that. So I want to keep my attention to the onward and upward and be grateful. Being grateful, be
Love it.
thankful.
I love it, man. JB, what you got, man?
Commit to the process and don't chase the reward.
Ooh,
Commit to the process and don't chase the
yeah.
reward.
That's a
The,
bar.
the easiest thing to get your eyes off of is the process will take you to the promised land. The
Mm,
reward will make you feel how you think you want to feel at the moment.
I
Yeah.
And I
love it.
think that shows itself in athletics and in football all the time. That's why I
I love
always
it.
mess up that Herman Edwards thing, but he says, we play to win the game. Yeah, man, you play to win the game, man. That Monday through
hmm
Friday is game week. That's why they call it game week.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? That's when you
yeah.
win on Saturday. That's when you win on Sunday, is during the week. So
Hmm.
Mm,
commit to the process, commit to the journey, and don't chase the prize.
I love
That's a
it,
bar.
man.
That's a bar.
Yeah, that's
What you got,
beautiful.
Justin? What you got, love? Give him the
Uh,
love
I'm
note.
I'm gonna read it so I say it correctly. Do the best you can until you know better.
Mm,
Then, when you know better, do better. It's a quote from Maya Angelou.
I love that.
Love
And
it.
I just, I feel like a lot of times we judge ourselves a little too harshly, saying I should have done this, or may I could have done this, or and sometimes it just comes down to simply you just didn't know any better, and you did the best you could with what you had. So I think a lot of times we just need to cut ourselves a little bit of grace. And we also need to find ways to extend that grace to others. I heard somebody say one time, we judge ourselves based on our intentions, judge others based on their actions. And a lot of times we gotta assume the best of people, man. Give ourselves some grace, start there, and then extend that love that you have towards yourself to others. And
Mm,
if we live in that place of a world with absence of so much judgment, we can so much more efficiently help each other win. So
there you go.
um that's me, man. How we tapping in with this weekend with y'all?
Go ahead,
Right,
That,
right,
Dave.
right, man. You know,
that.
you can catch us every game day, an hour before the game day. Really, about an hour and a half if you want to see us get ready and prepare. But we're at Gala Park. It is on High Street. It's a great place to be. The food, the menu is extensive. You get a bunch of options, and it's priced in a great way, and it's good resource when it comes down to the actual items that you're eating. So I'm through and through going to double down my money and my opportunity to talk football and sports. Ohio State, we got KDNS Sports. Jimmy, I hope I said that right, but our guy Kevin is putting on a great platform. So we're just happy to talk about Ohio State football and use some of our name, image, and likeness and have some people on the show. Again, it is Gala Park. It is an hour before the game. We'll be there probably about an hour and a half before the game if you want to help us set up. So God bless, go Bucks. Jimmy Love, what's the rest? Justin Love, what's the rest of your? I call him Jimmy Love, Justin Love. I'll put your name together. What's the rest of your week look like? What you? How can they tap in with you?
Are we talking me or are we talking Jimmy?
We talking
Talking
about
about
the
you.
love, man. We talking about the
Love
love. Jimmy
daddy.
got some other people. Jimmy got insurance and all types of plans to sell people. Jimmy gonna tell them all that. Give them the email and everything.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
No, I'm good, bro. I'm hey, TKDS Sports. I'll probably be doing some type of Friday night uh
Okay.
high school football, but I'm right next to Dougie Doug on Gallup Park. If y'all
Gala,
want to
gala.
holler at your boy, you can check me out on all social media platforms. JIMMIEBELL
There it is.
empowers IE because I
Empowers.
don't know that Y guy.
Mm,
Well done. And I'll be pretty much on every radio station in Columbus this weekend. That's what
talk
I
about
do.
it.
Throwback 105.3, 97.9 WNCI, 92.3 WCOL, and 106.7 The Beat.
Bars.
And when I'm not on the radio, aka Columbus's favorite realtor on the radio, I'm helping people buy homes, whether it's your residence or an investment property. We do it all. We help you buy and sell and make it a situation that makes sense for you. And if it doesn't, we have what we call our Love Your Home Guarantee, where if you buy a home and you're not happy with it, we will sell your home within the first year at 1%.